Hello and welcome to Food Allergy and Your Kiddo. I'm your host, Dr. Alice Hoyt. Incredibly excited to have two very amazing women on the show today. Y'all probably know them as the Moms on Call. We have Laura and Jennifer with us. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hey, we're so
Thank you for having
excited.
us.
Yes, so much
Thank y'all
fun.
so much for coming on. So if you're listening to the podcast today and you haven't heard of these wonderful women, they have been helping hundreds of thousands of families for over 20 years, and specifically helping moms and dads live life with less stress and more joy, navigate the world, especially in those baby years, toddler years. They're both nurses, and they have best-selling courses and books on practical guidance on sleep, feeding, routines. And so I'm so excited to welcome them to the show. They do have a new book coming out, specifically a really cute board book to help you and your little baby, your toddler. I think it goes up. I don't know how old does the book go up to, but I think my
About
kindergartner
4
is gonna
years old,
really enjoy
yes.
it.
Oh, they will love it.
Mhm. Yes.
They will love
So,
I don't think
and
that you ever outgrow wanting to hear really positive, encouraging things about nighttime from your parents. And our favorite part at the end of the sleep book
oh,
is
my
we say,
favorite.
I love you, I believe in you, and I'll see you when the sun comes up. And I just don't think you outgrow that.
No, I think I still wanna hear that I
Yes.
think I'm
Mhm,
gonna start making Jim say that every
Mhm.
night.
I love it.
It's
Yes,
right.
I love you, I believe in you. That's so
Yes.
nice. I was looking at
Mhm.
it, prepping for this. I was like, this just looks like such a nice book. And a nice book too as they get older and they have little siblings. Like right
They
now, my
can read.
kindergartner is learning to read. And last night we were reading a Veggie Tales book. And so she was reading it to us and reading it to her little brother. And this is just a beautiful book. It's illustrated beautifully
Uh,
that I think it's a great way to empower older kids to read to us, we wanna hear it, and to their little siblings.
Love that. We have a good behavior one that's coming out in March.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
So we will also have that one available to go along with the bedtime
And
routines. So
what's
we're
the
so
title of that
excited.
one?
Good behavior.
Good behavior. Oh, that sounds good. That
It
sounds
is
good.
so cute.
And one of the reasons I was so excited to have y'all on the show is because y'all are, as I mentioned before we started recording, y'all are really queens at helping parents really tackle routines, which when it comes to families with food allergies, this can be so helpful, so reassuring, such a way for us to be more in control when sometimes we don't feel like we have a whole lot of control. So I'm going to
As
ask
much
about
as we
that. But
can be.
right, right. I'm going to ask about that. But before, I want to ask you guys, y'all have served so many families and blessed so many families with so much information and guidance and encouragement. How did y'all start how did y'all get together? How did y'all start doing this?
Out of desperation, I think. I'll let Laura tell the story.
That
But
is,
that's where all great things are
we were
born,
in
out
desperate
of desperation.
mode. Yeah, we were in desperate mode in our own
Mhm.
homes, right? Because we have 8 kids between us, and we each have a set of twin boys. So
Oh, wow.
8 kids, all different ages. We had them full term, we had them preemies, we had, 2 at
Oh
one
my goodness.
time. But the way Jennifer and I met, where we both worked at the same pediatric office here in
Mhm.
Atlanta. And for whatever reason, Jennifer and I were the ones that seemed to always be on call, on the phones. We were the ones taking those calls. Every time we're like, guys, we would love to like work the floor and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, they wanted us on the phone because we could get through these calls and we could take care of these families and, kind of weed through all those things
Mhm.
that were coming into the office and really navigate that well. And from that, came Jennifer and I taking the after hours calls. So
Oh,
we
wow.
ended up and I'm sure same thing in New Orleans is, you typically have your children's hospital take all of those calls for the
Mhm.
pediatricians here in Atlanta. And there's just always things that happen, overload, diversion, and
Yep.
the docs were still getting a tons of calls and asked Jennifer and I to kinda step into that space because we know our patients. We know our
Yeah.
patients, we know what our doctors want, so we were able to kinda make it a lot more personal than just an
Mhm.
algorithm that someone was following on a computer screen, and, it
Oh,
exploded.
how reassuring for the patients.
Oh, it is absolutely one
Yeah.
of the best things that I think Jennifer and I have had the opportunity to do because we did know these families. We weren't
Mhm.
some random
Mhm.
people on the other side of the phone,
Mhm.
and it was
Yeah.
a brilliant marketing tool for the
Yeah.
practice, right? But it also allowed the practice to not have people coming in unnecessarily,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so that that could free up some time as well. So what Jennifer and I quickly realized through all of these phone calls were, yes, we had the illness calls and the injury calls, and a lot of times those calls, their kid would be vomiting, I'd be like, "Yeah, I got one vomiting too, let's get through this together," but
Camaraderie.
right,
Yeah.
but we quickly realized that a lot of these calls were just the day-to-day realities that they just didn't know how to deal
Yeah.
with. And so we began back in probably 2003, going into the homes of our clients proactively. So we started
Wow.
going into the homes carrying our little purple folder with just an outline format of the day to day stuff. How to put a diaper on, this eye drainage is okay. This is what you're going to do. This is when you're going to call the doctor. Don't worry about this poop. We're going to really worry about this poop. All
Yes.
of those
Yes,
things. And
the
along
real
with that,
things.
the
Yes.
real
Yes,
things,
the real things they were
breastfeeding.
worrying about.
Yes, whether you were nursing or bottle feeding, or whether you were
Mhm.
doing both, or whether you were going to work, or whether you were going to stay home, or we covered bath time. We would go into the home and do baths a lot of times for the first time with these sweet families. And what we
Well, we did the
always
bath with
say,
the babies. We'd help
what
the families to get to the
I often said it,
Aw.
get in
in
the
there.
bath with
Yeah.
them, and it's fabulous, but
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
gonna do that. And so and so, we from that, what Jennifer and I and we talked about routines. We did have a routine in our own households.
Yeah.
We put that
Yeah.
on paper. We had no idea the impact, Dr. Hoyt, that it was going to have on sleep.
Mhm.
We did not set out to create a sleep method at all. That was never on our radar to be known as a sleep method. But what
Wow.
we quickly found was the byproduct of confidence,
Yeah.
routine, and a sleep foundation. Just a few things. We don't have to train our 3-week-old to know how to sleep. They know how to sleep. They were born knowing how to sleep. So when we put a few of those key things as the foundation, what we quickly realized was, oh, wait a second. This baby is sleeping 4 hours instead of 1 hour, and now this baby's sleeping 6 hours or 8 hours. And over and over again, confidence
Mhm.
was the key
Yeah.
factor in
Yeah.
all of that.
Wow.
So a lot of times, even with your patients, Dr. Hoyt, these parents have to be confident in the plan.
Mhm.
They have to know that
Absolutely.
they know what to do in case of an emergency.
Mhm.
And when that confidence is there, then everything we can have less stress and have more joy, right? When but it
Absolutely.
starts with confidence, and that's what Jennifer and
Yes.
I did. And from that, in 2004, we began making that folder into a book.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
self-published the book, had it out with a DVD, peel and stick DVD in the back
Oh
because it was
my
back in the olden
gosh.
days.
I love it.
Our kids used to peel and stick them in our basements. Like, we would get the
Yeah,
books ready every,
Wow.
day, and they would get them, put together because
it
it just
was
wasn't a thing yet. The internet wasn't a thing yet.
it was
So
No,
this
and
was
so
all
barely.
the
y'all filmed the
information anybody was
DVD.
ever gonna
We
get,
we
right?
did, because how are
Y'all
you
Yeah.
gonna
filmed the video, and, I mean, just being
yeah.
able to film something back then,
It was yeah,
Yes.
it's and you
completely
don't
Yeah.
think
different
it's that
than
long ago, right? But it
today.
it
Right.
technology has changed so much. I mean, I think we
Oh
had
gosh.
MySpace Well, we
Yeah.
weren't on MySpace, but
Right.
that's about all we had,
That's
you
all
know?
we had.
And so from
Ah,
that, we self-published the books and then began doing the online courses in 2006, and that was a time when there were no online courses unless they were court
Mm-mm.
mandated. There was no
Okay.
such thing as an online course,
yeah.
and so we were able to kinda create this online course, and then we created the app, and, I mean, it was just this crazy adventure, that we've been a part of, and to be able to look
Amazing.
back and think, "Wait, this was a folder that we printed off of our
Mhm.
computer, and we just did what we were called to do." And we were called to help families and to be that voice of hope and encouragement, that voice of, "Hey, you've got this. It doesn't have to be so complicated. We don't have to figure out, some big math formula. Let's keep it simple. Keep it
It's
simple."
amazing.
And
It's
and we have
amazing, and
enjoyed
just
every moment.
the grit and dedication, like, thinking back to that time where the technology was not really on your side,
No,
and self-publishing wasn't even
it
as
was
I mean, it's not easy today, but it's
no.
certainly much easier than it was
Yep.
20
Back
years
then.
ago, and so
Yes.
the
Mhm.
dedication that y'all had to have to put that together
Yeah,
after
it was
seeing a problem and saying, "We have solutions to help these families." I mean, wow,
yeah,
ladies.
yeah. It's
Well,
pretty
and
it's
it was
pretty
one of the
crazy.
first books that ever existed that came from the perspective of a mom. So really preceding
Mhm.
us, we had more Dr. Spock, a lot of people may have heard of that, and, there were a lot of or a pediatrician, but not a mom. And
Yeah,
so for us, we put it in outline format because 'cause we're like, we don't have moms don't have time to read 365 pages about how to get this kid to sleep. We're
right,
exhausted.
right.
So, one of the things we did, interestingly, for moms is what became the thing that dads loved most
Yeah.
because it was just to the point. It's not the whole like, why should your kid sleep through the night? It's just here's an outline format. Here's what to do. Here's when to do it. And we did our little routines in there. So you don't have to do math. It's just mapped out for you. And now
Mhm.
with technology, that's turned into our brand new app. So you can have that schedule in your hand and your husband knows and your mom knows and your caregiver knows and everybody can be on the same page. And so it's just really amazing to see where these resources have gone. But our heart has always been to serve each family that is brought into our path to the best of our ability. And that's what drives every decision that we make. We want something good, positive, encouraging, and effective in the hand of every mom who's looking for that. And whatever we can, use to get from here to there, we figured out our tiny team of amazing people. It's not just Laura and I, but we have a team of amazing people that come alongside us and provide these things. And over again, we hear from families. They are the kindest, the most wonderful, generous people that you would ever meet. And they stop us in stores and, come to our book signings and they just tell us that it means a lot to them. And so we keep
Mhm.
doing it. We keep plugging forward, just like you. Like you seen that there's such a need. And
Mhm.
together we can really make a huge impact. And it's so
Yes.
meaningful to have somebody who understands and somebody who can have a plan when there's so many voices that
Mhm.
really you have access to these days. We've seen that whole pendulum swing from nothing to so much that you're paralyzed.
Yep.
And to just
Yes.
really get a trustworthy voice in that space is just an amazing help for parents. And I think we've all been there, and that's why
Mhm.
we're here. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yes, and I was gonna ask y'all about that. I mean, since you've been doing this for a long time, you have seen different stressors come into families' lives, different I mean, screen time, how that disrupts sleep or just in general child development, and I would love to hear what have y'all noticed are some of the changes, some of the good changes, some of the not so good changes that have been impacting families regarding routines, regarding sleep over these 20 years?
I would say that
Oh.
it's the amount of information. There's not
Mhm.
necessarily right or wrong ways, there are some extremes, but
Yeah.
there's not necessarily right or wrong for the most of those options. But I would say for myself watching my clients, it is the comparison.
Mhm.
It is the amount of information that's just being thrown to these sweet families from all directions.
Yeah.
It's the opinions of people that you don't even know
Right.
that are telling you whether you're doing it right or whether you're doing it wrong. So I would say that excessive
Mhm.
information and so many
Yeah.
opinions that don't have a vested interest in the outcome leave
Mhm.
families unable to move forward with confidence. It shakes that confidence. It gives them this fear. So I think fear, if
Mhm.
we pick one word that has completely seemed to change things over the last 20 years, it would be fear. The fear
Mhm.
that I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do it right, that I'm not gonna do it perfect, that, "Oh my gosh, I yelled at my kid yesterday and lost it, and so now that's it. There's
Mhm.
no
I
recovery from
ruined
that.
them. They are
I've
ruined.
ruined them for
Yeah.
life." Or they cried for 25 minutes because I'm tired, and I just had to take a break, and now they're ruined forever. It's that
Yeah.
fear that
Yeah.
our kids are not strong, adaptable, and resilient, and we know they are.
Mhm.
So trying to convince our families that they are has been difficult in a world that tells them everything but that.
Mhm.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
what
And in a
about
world
you?
Well, I
yeah.
would say, um, I wanna go with the positive. One of the first things Laura and I talk about this a lot is we've been able to really watch the the dads, like,
Yes.
just
Yes.
blossom into these really amazing caregivers. They're attentive. They're
Mhm.
attentive to their wives. They're attentive to their kids. They're a big part of what's happening. They want to be really involved. And if there's anything that just has
Yes.
been an absolute beautiful thing to watch, it's watching that. The dads, millennial dads, all the names that they have for, who comes next. We've seen them all. They're really killing it. It's really fantastic. So we'd like to just say
I
and
would agree.
encourage those dads to say, this generation is going to be better
Mhm.
because you're taking an active role because you're concerned about, what your wife or your other caregivers are going through. And we've just had an opportunity to meet so many amazing people. Now, of course, moms, we have huge responsibilities. We have 100 things to do at any given moment. And what we navigate, because we are the most marketed to generation ever to walk the earth. So,
Mhm.
what moms have to sift through in this generation is
Mhm.
enormous and different than any other generation, and they're doing an amazing job. These kids are thriving, and what Laura and I try and do is help moms to recognize that. So we'll say, I think what you're trying what you need to be doing is pat yourself on the back. Don't say that, oh, everything's just going to be so horrible. Really, this is an amazing time. You are doing such an incredible job. And if you're worried whether or not you're doing it right, then you're doing it right. Like,
Mhm.
bad parents don't worry about that kind of thing.
Right.
So by virtue of asking the question, you're already doing an amazing job. And we don't want moms to miss out on that, on what an amazing thing it is to wade through all of that information for the love of this baby
I
or
wanna
babies as
read
it
one of
may
the
be.
quotes on y'all's website that I love. "We'll be your voice of hope as you parent out of truth, grace, and love."
Oh,
And what I think is so
yeah.
wonderful about y'all's approach is that you have the clinical skill set and expertise, but you're coming from that mom side of you and marrying those 2 so beautifully that it really does. It meets parents where they are and at a time where, you talk about the importance of the children needing sleep, and then one of the benefits of children getting sleep is then parents can get sleep because especially in those early years where the sleep schedule is so just, it's interrupted sleep for
Mhm.
child, but also for mom. And everything just seems like such a big deal sometimes when we don't have a lot of sleep. And so we need that love, we need that grace, we need that hope, and we need to remind ourselves as parents that we deserve love and grace and hope and grace and grace
Yes, and
and
grace.
grace.
Yep,
And
yep.
I love that that's where y'all
That's
that is where y'all come from with
yep,
everything you're doing. That's your guiding
everything.
light as you talk about.
Yes, yes, that is so true, and it has continued to be that way ever since we started on this journey, and,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because we do believe in that hope. We do know how important sleep is, especially when we have other kids, right? We've
Yes.
gotta be mom or
Yeah.
dad almost 24 hours a day,
Mhm.
and so to be able to have good rest really is the foundation to everything else,
Mhm.
that happens throughout the day, and I wish I would've took my own advice. I was on call 90 hours a week, taking, 2, 300 phone calls,
My
a
gosh.
week, and I didn't sleep a whole lot for almost
Mhm.
20 years, and it really did
Mhm.
affect my mental health, my physical health. I am so much in a better place physically and mentally than I was in those years, right? And I think that it's just so important that we recognize the importance of sleep. It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
on everybody involved and in every aspect of our being. I can be a much better mom when I'm rested. I can handle the 100 things that Jennifer was talking about, so much
Mhm.
better when I have the rest that I need, so it's important, and
And
routine is a huge part of that.
yes, yes, and getting back to routine and parents of kiddos with food allergies, I'm sure over these last 20 plus years, y'all have seen
Oh, yeah.
changes in the amount of food allergies we're seeing in it's not always being outgrown anymore, right? And helping those families really navigate getting their toddler and little kiddos into preschool and dealing with childcare. What sort of strategies have you guys found that you really lean into to help these parents? And just in general, what kind of advice have you been giving to families of kids with food allergies?
Well, first of all, helping everybody to be educated
Mhm.
is one of the, paramount things. And you always fear that they don't take it as seriously as you do. When my kids were little, we had one of their best friends had a peanut allergy, and we called ourselves the peanut police. And so, every environment they were in together, they were helpful.
Mhm.
But structure is protective.
Mhm.
And so when we're in a structure, when we prepare things in the same way, when we, we do have to depend on other caregivers and we give them organized instructions,
Mhm.
it's so helpful. It's
Yep.
empowering. And so, being prepared, helping to educate, the other caregivers and making that fun, but also making it predictable. That
Mhm.
predictability is so protective. And so those would be the things that we help. Also, getting great sleep. And, that just helps us to be healthier
Yes.
overall. So when we have those things in place, then we feel like, we can do our best. We can put our best foot forward. And, also, for the younger babies, exposing them a lot earlier as, what
Mhm.
we've spoken about and what
So
we've heard,
huge.
encouraging, getting the word out there that, we really want to start to take a preventative type
Mhm.
stance, and that information has changed so significantly here
Yeah.
over the past 3 to 5 years. And so getting that word,
Message.
out to all of the people that we get to see face to face and
Absolutely.
helping that, from a preventative standpoint has been, I think, probably had one of the biggest impacts.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
especially in families who have kids who have food allergies, and then
Yeah.
they have babies, so then trying to utilize those early introduction strategies, but
While
trying to
protecting.
right, and so that's where
Yes.
having planning in place and routine in place can be so helpful because it is
Yeah,
important to help
Yeah.
prevent the younger siblings from developing food allergies, but it has to be done in a way and is
safe.
totally doable
Oh,
with
yeah.
planning,
Yes. Right,
but that can feel very overwhelming to families
right.
sometimes.
right,
Yeah.
and I think that's where
Mm.
is it a separate time when we know that, okay, the one that has the allergy is at preschool today.
Mhm,
So today, we're
mhm,
gonna do our best at, 11 o'clock every day to introduce
mhm.
some of these higher allergen foods when those kids are out of the way. But when you have a routine, you're able to do that.
Right.
You're able to make that planning and to look ahead because you have, like Jennifer said, that predictability.
Yeah.
It's not exact, but you have that predictability so you can see the
Yeah.
places where, okay, because it's not just introducing, we have to introduce it early and often, right?
Early and
It's
often.
early
Yep.
and often. And so it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going? Okay, well, you know what? At 5 o'clock every day, we're all at home. So dad's going to take the allergy one out and they're going to go and play whatever those
Mhm.
plans are, but there are opportunities and we're going to try and find those opportunities to get it in
Yep,
early and often and safely for
and
that older
safely.
or that higher allergen kid. So
Well, and
we're going to do what we
also, I
can.
think too, like learning how to speak to your toddler. So we do a lot in our toddler resources about the ways that toddlers receive information, about how they process. It's not the same. They're not little adults. And
They're not.
so being able to speak to them repetitively, when is their heart
Mhm.
open for instruction? So we can help them to protect themselves in that way as well.
Right.
And so how do we do that? If a toddler doesn't respond to reason and they don't make decisions now on the basis of a future outcome. How do we protect this child and help them to learn how to protect themselves? And so we go over a lot of that in the toddler resources about when and how to say they want two pieces of information, what's happening and what am I supposed to do about it? Instead of like a whole diatribe about what would happen. And then, maybe we'd have to do your EpiPen and you don't like that, or we have to go to on the ambulance. Well, toddlers
Mhm.
think an ambulance is a great time. Like they don't understand what we're trying to tell
That
them.
kind of seems pretty
So,
fun.
like, well, what do we do? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of parents fear that that child's really missing out on so much of
Oh,
Mhm.
life because they miss a couple of foods or they can't be in the same, environments where those foods might be present, without having to worry about it. But those kids
Mhm.
don't know any different. They don't know.
Right.
They don't think they're missing out. They get you, they get loads of incredible options. And so when we don't treat it like it's just this absolutely, horrible
horrible.
missing out on life, but we treat it as very normal part of life, like these things that just can be hurtful for you. So we're going to choose those things. And look at all these great choices we have. And where our attitude is more like that, then they adopt that attitude.
Mhm.
And so we can help our kids not to, think it's a horrible thing, but also put things in place that will help them to know this thing is harmful. This thing is good. And you're such a great decision maker. And we'll figure this out together. And that just takes so much of the pressure of all of it out when we're so scared. We don't want that fear to be contagious. We want the confidence to be contagious. So we do talk about how to communicate to your toddlers in that way and build that part of your family and your lifestyle
Yes.
up as well.
Ladies, I could talk to you for days and more days and have so many more
Oh,
questions.
same.
We'll
But
come back.
I mean, thank you. This was fantastic. I know that if you're listening and you're new to the show, um, we haven't had moms on call before. They are absolutely welcome to come back. You guys are awesome. The amount of knowledge that y'all just shared with this audience, I mean, what a blessing. What a blessing to me personally, as the mom of a 5-year-old and 3-year-old, there's just, and you can't say it enough that planning, having routine, because we all know plans get changed by factors
Sure.
outside of our control, but having plans in place help manage the chaos. And
Yes.
so thank y'all so much for coming on
Thank
the
you for
show
having
and sharing
us.
this amazing information.
It was so fun. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. And just if we leave you with one last little thing, is don't be scared. Be prepared. When you're prepared as a family together, then that gives you such incredible freedom to enjoy these beautiful kids, this beautiful life.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, I'm an allergist, but I'm not your allergist. So talk with your allergist about what you learned today. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and go to foodallergyandyourkiddo.com where you can join our newsletter. God bless you, and God bless your family.